Hi, my name is Jacob Freers and I'm an AMGA Apprentice Rock Guide. And in today's video we're going to be talking all about climbing equipment. And more specifically, the order in which you purchase your climbing equipment. Climbing gear is really expensive and there's tons of options on the market. So my kind of goal with this video is to give my point of view on when you should buy what gear and kind of how you can use that order in order to optimize the cost of the equipment and optimize what you have in your toolkit. And so this is just kind of stuff I've learned over my years of climbing, buying stuff I don't need and then not using it, or having to buy a bunch of stuff all at once. Hopefully this video can help you spread out that cost a little bit. We're going to be talking specifically about two groups of climbing equipment. We have sport climbing gear and trad climbing gear. First, we're going to go over a general sport climbing kit, and then we will build on top of that kit by talking about our trad climbing gear. One last thing, this video is bent more towards Arkansas and Southeast climbers, kind of in more single pitch environments, but I really think anybody can benefit from this style and order of purchasing gear. So the first thing we're going to go over is the list of sport climbing equipment. The first thing you're going to want to purchase is your own pair of climbing shoes. Shoes are super important, they're yours individually. You can borrow some at the beginning, but having your own pair really makes a difference. This is one of the few pieces of climbing equipment that's kind of customized to your body. They will stretch and mesh to your foot shape as you break them in. So this would be the number one purchase. Number two, I would say you would want to get your harness and a chalk bag to go with it. So this is when you're starting to climb in the gym, you're starting to get up on ropes, get up on top rope. Like a $60 to $70 harness from any of the major brands are going to do a really good job of just being that entry, and then really whatever chalk bag you like. The third group of things that you're going to want to purchase, so maybe you're starting to go outside, you get invited outside, your buddies are taking you outside, you want to have a little bit of your own equipment. Probably some sort of belay device would be the next thing. So whether that's an ATC or maybe a Petzl Grigri or something along those lines, you got to find the best for you. In that same third group, I would probably get 2 to 3 extra locking carabiners, including as well as a carabiner for your belay device. So again, about 2 other extras, and if you want to know more about which ones you should purchase, check out our locking carabiners video on the same channel. Something else you could get here is a third hand. The Sterling Hollow Block is what I like to use. It's good for backing up rappels, which is something you'll be learning to do later on in your climbing career. But it's something that you can throw in with your ATC, and you'd want to get a locker for that as well. So now, onto our fourth item that we would be talking about is probably this is where you'd want to get a helmet. So again, as you're starting to go outside, you may be purchasing this the same time as that first belay device. I would say as soon as you go outside for the first time, you're going to want to go ahead and get a helmet. There's so many variables. Your head is super important, your brain is super important. Just go ahead and grab a helmet in order to protect that. So this fifth group is going to be probably your first set of quick draws, and so 6 to 8 quick draws is what you're going to want to get. Just some all-around sport draws are great. You get probably 6 to 8 of those. Most of them come in a 6-pack. You're probably going to purchase maybe 1 or 2 more locking carabiners, a 48-inch double length sling so you can build a personal tether. Again, check out our video on this page about building personal tethers. And then some sort of anchor material. So maybe that's a quad anchor material. Again, one more time, we do have a video on our page about how to build anchors, and that can give you some clues on what kind of anchor material you want. The sixth thing you're going to want to think about getting is probably a climbing dedicated bag. And so this is the Mystery Ranch Coulee 40. Something in the 40 to 60 liter range normally is going to be really great for single pitch climbing, and it's something that if you buy the right one, that can be the bag that you have all the way down the road throughout your career. After you have your bag, the seventh thing is going to be your rope. And so up until now, you've probably been going out with friends who have ropes, you've been borrowing theirs, using theirs, and now you want to start getting a little more independence. So 60 to 70 meters, 9.7 to 10.1 is a really great option. You know, something around that like $150 to $200 range is great for a first rope. Your second to last category is going to be a couple more quick draws. For most areas, especially in the Southeast, having 12 quick draws total is going to be a full rack of quick draws. So whatever you had purchased previously, go ahead and bump that number up to 10 or 12, and then you have your full rack. And if you haven't already purchased a gree-gree by this point, this is when you would want to purchase your gree-gree. The last thing is probably a more advanced pair of shoes. From when you bought your first pair to now, you've been training, you've been in the gym, you're probably starting to bump through the grades. This is when starting to look at a more asymmetrical or a higher quality shoe might help you push on to that next level of climbing. So that's pretty much all of our sport climbing specific stuff. Now I'm going to switch over and build on top of this and start talking about our trad gear. So now we're going to be going over trad gear. When I'm going over this trad gear, I am using the assumption that we've already purchased all the sport climbing gear. So everything I've already listed is part of our rack already, and now we're building on top of that in order to get into trad climbing. The first thing you're going to want to purchase is going to be a single rack. Single racks can change based on your location, so definitely check in with your local climbers coalition, or a lot of times it's in the guidebook. In general, getting down to a 0.3 and getting up to a number 4 and then the pieces in between is going to be considered a single rack, as well as a set of stoppers, a nut tool, and maybe 4 or 5 alpine draws, which will help you extend your pieces to resist rope drag. So this would be considered a single rack. I would suggest buying this in one go. Some people try to buy one piece at a time. I would save up and buy the whole thing, so that way as soon as you have the items, you can go out and go climbing with it. The next set of pieces I would get would start to be getting anchor pieces. So now I'd be thinking about, all right, maybe I'm going to be building trad anchors. I'm going to start getting into multi-pitch climbing. This is where you can start buying your first set of anchors. Using 21 feet of 7mm accessory cord or Sterling power cord is definitely the simplest way to build anchors. You could also buy a quad link sling. Black Diamond sells them, Metolius sells them, and then I would buy another 48-inch double link sling. And so with the anchor material you already have from our sport list, plus this, you should have everything you would need for building all types of trad anchors. And then in this same group, I would probably buy 1 or 2 more locking carabiners. Again, check out our carabiner video for those. The third trad items I would purchase would probably be filling in my single rack. So getting down to my 0.2 and my 0.1, and then maybe up to a number 5, depending on the area you're in. Some people will never need a number 5. It's kind of a personal choice. But going down and filling in those smaller specialty cams is really great. This is when you could also think about purchasing some specialty stoppers, like some RPs or maybe some copper. And this is where you would also want to purchase a couple more alpine draws to get your total count up to probably 10, maybe 12. So this is kind of our third group. And then our last group of trad gear is something that you can kind of purchase one at a time over time. So that would be filling in the double rack. And so, you know, that 0.1 to 4 would be, so once you have 2 sets of 0.1 to 4, that would be a double rack. A double rack, I would suggest buying maybe just, you know, 1 piece a month, 2 pieces a month here and there. That way you're adding to the single rack that you already have. You don't really need to purchase this all at the same time. You could also purchase maybe a little bit more anchor material. Probably by now, once you're at the point where you have a full double rack, you've built a lot of anchors, so you can figure out what you really do and do not like. The last thing I want to talk about is retiring your climbing equipment. All of your gear will eventually have to be replaced and retired. What I would suggest is adhering to the manufacturer guidelines from each of these brands. You just want to go to the website of the brand you purchased this gear from, and they should be giving you ways to check your gear and to know when to retire it. But if you do purchase your gear in this order, I believe you will be setting yourself up for financial success throughout your entire climbing career.